first two videos in the series, we went through some potential legal issues for Colleen Ballinger, mistakes that she appears to have made that could very well cost her. In part one, we talked about some potential civil liability claims by minors for her explicit communications that she had with them while they were underage. We also talked about some potential civil claims related to her onstage conduct with minors during her live shows. Then in part two, we talked about some of the other allegations that have come out over the years having to do with her practices surrounding the payment of fan employees, and how damning her own words have been in responding to that particular controversy.
I've hired my fans to design merch, I've hired fans to go on tour with me, I've hired fans to edit things for me, and how hiring my employees works is I usually do a little test run to see how it goes. If it goes well, then I hire them officially through my company and they are paid legally through the corporation. It was no different for him. I wanted to do a little test run. If it went well, then I wanted to hire him. So I gave him access to my account and he started tweeting stuff for me.
In this video, we are going to turn to the questions that have come up related to potential charity fraud. Let's get into it. So Colleen Ballinger apparently does an annual charity drive for a couple different charities, apparently primarily to benefit kids with cancer. Charity drives, fundraisers, campaigns are of course on their own a good thing. That goes without saying. I myself have participated in and helped to organize charity drives before, and I think that they're just generally a good thing to have. But when not done transparently, charity drives can quickly turn from a wholesome event into an outright scandal. To be clear, this is not exactly a civil liability issue. This is something that would fall under the umbrella of the IRS or perhaps the Department of Justice, because we're mostly talking about how this relates to tax filings. So the issue here is not in the existence of these charity drives, but rather in the way that Colleen has chosen to go about it over the years. Each time she does a drive, she apparently gathers up money from her viewers and says the purpose is to benefit kids with cancer, and by all appearances, she does donate the money. But questions have arisen for several reasons. First, she apparently insists on collecting the funds herself, even though the charities she ends up donating the money to have established ways of setting up a donation campaign directly on their websites. One of these is CHLA, the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, and I can say from personal experience that I know this is a very effective way for running a donation campaign. Around a year ago, on the heels of the Depp v. Heard trial, Rick Hogue of the channel Hogue Law, he and I got together to organize and manage a campaign for CHLA through a charity livestream. And being lawyers, we talked extensively ahead of time about how particular we wanted to be in setting this thing up and managing it. This is because anytime you are handling any amount of other people's money, it is just too easy to make a mistake and end up getting into big trouble if you're not careful. And I'm not just talking about trouble in terms of public relations, I'm talking about legal trouble. And so what we decided was that the easiest, most secure way to go about it was just to establish a special campaign directly on CHLA's website. This way, we get to direct people over there. We have zero fingerprints on anyone else's money. People get their own individual receipt for the donation emailed directly to them, and they can take a tax benefit for themselves if they so choose. Smooth as butter. All that was left for me to do as a person hosting this live stream was to turn off monetization, super chats, and super thanks for the duration of the live stream, and what I decided was for 24 hours afterwards, just to make sure that there was zero confusion as to where people should direct their money if they wanted to participate in the campaign. So having the experience of taking these extensive methods myself, I can understand why there are quite a few people out there that are concerned about the seeming lack of transparency with Colleen's fundraising methods. Here are two potential issues that arise as a result. And actually, I'm so sorry to interrupt here, but I have to thank this video's sponsor. This video is sponsored by MD Hair. So I'm generally pretty lazy about my hair, but I am all for finding a product that is going to help make it fuller, stronger, and healthier. Enter MD Hair, a brand that is geared towards men and women. MD Hair is the world's first medical-grade hair growth treatment customized to the exact cause and type of hair loss. Because whether or not you're dealing with a hair loss problem, you are, in fact, losing hair. I mean, I shed all the time, probably just as much as the pets. Anyway, this is a clinically proven customized hair growth treatment that is developed by dermatologists. How do they customize it, you ask? Well, you go through a quiz to talk about your hair situation, and you send in a photo of your scalp. And MD Hair then uses their AI technology to analyze all of that data and to come up with a customized treatment kit according to your needs. It consists of shampoo, conditioner, serum, and supplements so that it can work on the issue from inside out. I use these products and I can say that the shampoo and conditioner smells very nice. My hair feels smoother, softer, healthier, and the volume is great. And today, if you follow the link in the description below, you will get a 70% discount off of the first monthly kit with full-size products. So if you're interested, click on the link in the description below to get your discount. And thank you to MD Hair for sponsoring this video. Okay, so let's get back to those 2 legal issues that can arise as a result. First, she might not be donating the entirety of the money that she actually gathers. Others commenting on the issue have noted that her name does appear as a major donor to these organizations on their websites, so she definitely does seem to be donating some amount. But there doesn't seem to be some public verification that the amount that she donated equals the actual amount that she collected. Some have also commented on the fact that her charity drives from past years are still active, which means that people can still donate to them, which leaves open the possibility that people could be depositing money into an account managed by Colleen that she's no longer actively sending over to charities herself. In which case, of course, the question comes up, what is actually happening to that money that is getting deposited there? If it is the case that money that is being donated through those campaigns on that website are being used for other purposes, this could be charity fraud. You see, when someone hands over money to you, it doesn't mean that you can just automatically do whatever you want with it. If you are handling someone else's money because you are collecting funds for charity, or you're acting as a trustee of a trust, or you're working as an executive for a company that is owned by multiple people, you are not acting for yourself, you are acting as a fiduciary. With that comes certain responsibilities. And so if you announce to the public that you are collecting funds to donate to charity, but you end up keeping a portion of it or using it in some other way, you can get into some real trouble. As an example, there is a case out of San Diego where a couple set up a 501c3 nonprofit organization. And through that organization, they solicited donations of clothing and other goods from a bunch of businesses, saying that the donations were going to go to people who were down on their luck to help them get back up on their feet. The organization was literally called On Your Feet, Inc. The problem is this couple actually ended up taking millions of dollars worth of clothing and other goods that they received from Forever 21, Disney, and other companies. And instead of actually providing these to the needy, they ended up reselling them and keeping the profits. And then they also lied on their tax returns as to what their income was so that they could cover it all up. As a result, this particular couple landed in prison and they had to pay the IRS tens of thousands of dollars in taxes owed. Now, it should be noted that there is a difference between making a mistake on your tax returns and actually lying. And where that line is obviously depends on the factual circumstances that we're talking about. But my point is, these kinds of things can have some serious repercussions, particularly if the person seems to know what they're doing. So how does that relate here? First of all, I want to remind everyone that it could be that there's nothing there. Without access to Colleen's and her business's tax documents and accounting documents, there's no way of knowing whether she's actually done anything wrong here. But is there a possibility that the accounting doesn't line up? Well, yeah, you don't know that until you can verify by actually looking at the records. But even if Colleen did in fact pay the full amount to these charities, there's still another possible way that the way that she set things up could rise to some shady implications and potentially not fully legal. By funneling all of these charity funds to herself first before actually donating them to the organizations, it does leave open the door for Colleen to at the very least have the opportunity to use some creative tax reporting. Basically, think of it this way, as if there are two different buckets of money. If Colleen gets her pre-tax money through ad revenue, sponsorships, etc. as a normal business income, that goes in one bucket. For this hypothetical, let's say that she brings in an income of $1 million in a year. Then if she personally gathers money for charity, that has to go in another bucket. Let's say that in that same year, she ends up collecting $100,000 for charity. Now, you're not supposed to mix those two buckets because some of that money is yours and some of that money is not yours. But I could see a situation where someone pretends that the charity bucket is a bucket of gifts that people have made to that person. If it is considered a gift, it would not necessarily be taxed as income. Definitely put an asterisk on that because when it comes to taxes, that is probably the area of law that has the most "it depends" disclaimers than any other area of law. But generally speaking, people have this possibility where they have income that is taxed and gifts that are not taxed. So let's say someone has a charity bucket and they decide to pretend that it's not a charity bucket, it is a gift bucket that people have given to them personally. This person could reach into that income bucket and could actually end up donating an amount that is equal to what they received in that charity bucket, which they are calling a gift bucket. Then this person could hypothetically absorb that charity bucket, which they're calling a gift bucket, into their pocket. Although the number would be the same as if this person decided to just treat that charity bucket as a charity bucket and not mix them and just donate all of that on behalf of all of the other people, the origin of the funds used for the donation can make a very big difference in the amount of taxes that this person actually ends up paying. So basically, this donation could hypothetically be used to lower this person's overall taxes that they have to pay. But the problem with it is, again, the charity bucket isn't her bucket. It's money that belongs to other people that this person has gathered as a fiduciary for the sole purpose of being donated to kids with cancer. That charity bucket is supposed to remain completely separate from the income bucket, and at no point are they supposed to mix together. If she's doing that, she's not donating her own money, she's donating other people's money and pretending it's her money. And I will say, looking at the 2022 CHLA honor roll of donors, I want to point something out. You can see that Colleen Ballinger is personally named as a donor for the range of $100,000 to $499,999. I'm actually on the same roster as a result of the campaign that Rick Hogue and I organized last year. I only say this because I want to point out an important detail. My name shows up in the range of $1,000 to $4,999. That's because although Rick and I organized a campaign that ended up bringing in around $150,000 to CHLA, the amount that I personally donated was $3,500. So the roster uses my legal name, not my nickname, not Legalbytes. This tells me that the names on this roster reflect the official personal donations or donations officially on behalf of specific organizations. In other words, it doesn't reflect the campaigns that they were involved in or even organized. It's what they personally themselves donated. It reflects the names under which these donations were officially made as it's documented for tax purposes. So the fact that Colleen Ballinger is personally named in this much higher range indicates one of two things. Either she actually did personally donate this amount of money in addition to collecting all of the funds that she did for the fundraising campaign, or she ended up just gathering all of that money, claiming it as her own, and then donating it to CHLA under her own name, and then claiming the tax benefit for herself after claiming all of that was a gift to her. Yikes. And if it's reflected on her tax returns that she's claiming the charity funds as gifts to her and then donating from her own pre-tax income to get a tax benefit for herself, tax returns are signed under penalty of perjury. If you knowingly lie on those documents, you can have the IRS knocking on your door in the same way that that San Diego couple did. So although, like I said, I don't have personal access to any of her financial documents, any of her accounting or tax documents, there is enough information here to give me pause on this issue. But what do you think? Now that we've reached the end of this series, do you think that any of these potential legal issues have any merit? Is there anything that you think that I might be missing here? Let us know in the comments down below. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this or at least found it interesting or informative. And if you did, I would love it if you could hit the like button. It does help us with the YouTube algorithm gods. And if you're new here and you want to see more content like this, be sure to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell so you can find out when the next video is uploaded. See you in the next one.